hear struggles with converting content, like what to post, how to post it, coming up with ideas and things like that. And by the way, this is the theory around content. We all know that we could use ChatGPT, Gemini, Manus, in a couple of few series back, I was talking about how you could research content, what's actually converting and things like that on Facebook and Instagram using Manus. And today I want to kind of go over the psychology of content that you should be putting out. And a lot of people, as a lot of you know, I run a marketing agency in both the real estate industry and in other industries. And a lot of people often wonder why would I even want to hire a marketing agency if I could just use Claude, ChatGPT, even, editors and things like that, you could use AI to do that. So why would I ever want to even look elsewhere? Well, today you're going to understand why, and I'm not just going to tell you the why behind it, but I am going to tell you exactly how we curate content in our agency for our clients because curating the content is kind of one of those things that there's an art to it, right? And if you are not versed in what that looks like, it can be very difficult and you can wind up spinning your wheels. And a lot of people don't post content simply because they don't know what to post and how to post. So that's why today we're going over content that converts. How can you stay on top of your game in 2026? Now, let me go ahead. I'm using one solo screen normally. Normally, I have multiple screens. So let me go ahead. This should be loading here any second right now. Marlon Nutter is here as well. Okay, one second. Just give me one second. It's loading. Um, and by the way, I use, all right, so here we go. So content that converts in 2026, how real estate agents are using AI to generate more content and more effective content, right? And really quick, why isn't this going? All right, so quick show of hands, who posts, and I want to know this in the chat, who posts at least 3 times a week? Who here posts at least 3 times a week? Anybody post? Perfect. Sandra says yes. A couple of you said yes. Me. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And the fact of the matter is, posting isn't enough, right? And who has ever gotten a lead? This is my most curious question. Who's ever gotten a lead from social media? Has anybody ever received a lead from one of your posts? And if so, type a one in the chat if you have, type a two in the chat if you've never received a lead from one of your posts, right? I want to know if you've never received a lead from one of your posts because that's really where a lot of people struggle and why they don't is because they post it once and they don't know how to get leads again, right? So, with that being said, you have the biggest lie in real estate marketing. More followers equals more business, and more conversations equals more business, right? Here's the thing. Your content builds trust. Your trust builds conversions and your conversions build appointments and your appointments turn to clients, right? People look at content that converts as content that somebody is going to transact with you right then and there. That is the wrong way to look at it. Fact of the matter is, a lot of individuals post on Instagram, Facebook every single day. And the fact is, you could have 10,000 followers, but if only 20 of those followers on a weekly basis engage or even look at your content, only those 20 people are actually seeing your stuff, right? Only 20 of them. So, how do I get my Instagram, my Facebook more active where people actually start seeing my stuff again and converting? Well, we all in this call have something called a database, right? I want you to type in the chat really quick. How many contacts do you have in your database? I want to know in the chat, how many contacts do you have in your database right now? How many contacts do you have in your database? 4K. Wow. Okay. Now, while other people are typing, Kim, how many followers do you have on social media?
I think it's around 2,600 or so. That's just
2,600.
on Facebook. I don't know about Instagram, to
Okay.
be honest.
Yep. Sandra said about 10K. Now, how do I like rocket fuel my socials to start generating more leads. Number one is start with your database, okay? You could literally create a post or a video once a week and then post it on your Facebook and your Instagram, then send an email campaign, okay? Send an email campaign to your entire database, leading people back to your Instagram, right? Leading people back to your Instagram. That's how you get, Sandra's 10K database. Sandra, if you don't ask you, how many followers do you have on Instagram or Facebook?
Facebook, I have 3,000. I'm
Okay.
I'm not like a big user of
Yep.
Facebook. I do have someone that works on that for me. And I don't even know an Instagram, but I do have a big database because I've been doing real estate for 26 years.
Yeah. So imagine if everyone today, so homework number one for today, homework number one for today is I want you to take one of our content, because we're going to go over the best content ideas that convert. I want you to take one of those content ideas, right? And I want you to literally um, create a selfie video or a post about one content idea. Then what I want you to do is send an email campaign out for that. One second. I think some people are trying to come in. Um, Now, when you do that, okay, you will naturally see a spike in your engagement on Facebook and Instagram. And guess what that's going to do? That's going to tell Instagram and Facebook that you are actually somebody that people want to look at. So now it's going to start organically showing your content because you have more activity than the next person on your Facebook or Instagram, right? A lot of people think that the organic reach on your Facebook and Instagram is just from Facebook or Instagram. Does anybody run any webinars or anything like that? They do group trainings or anything like that? Any coaches on here that do group trainings or anything? Because if you
Do
do, perfect. If you do, one of the biggest GOAT moves of all time is creating a post on your Facebook or Instagram. So let me go to my Instagram really quick. And at the end I want to find this really quick. Let me go to my Instagram um, profile. Wow, this is really zoomed in. All right, so you could see here. Let me share my Instagram really quick. So you could see here, right? This is my Instagram. So by the way, if you're not following me on Instagram, do the same thing I'm doing to you. Please go follow me on Instagram right now if you're not following me on Instagram. Okay. But when I'm ever teaching, coaching, or I'm in front of a group of people, I will create a post and I will ask them to go comment a takeaway of what they learned from me, right? And I will always do a giveaway where I will choose one lucky winner to get a $25 Starbucks gift card or a $30 Starbucks gift card. A lot of you have organizations. Who here has organizations inside of EXP? Does anybody have organizations inside of EXP? Would love to know that because your downline, those touch points when you're actually talking to your sphere, right? You should be having your sphere every time you talk to them, go comment on one of your posts. I would rather you have 20 or 30 people comment on your post, okay, then you try to run ads to the masses and get 10 new likes on that post. Is all this is I just because I'm going really fast and furious because we have about 30 minutes left. Is anybody like boom, light bulb moments? Anybody having some light bulb moments now? So number one is the best way to get new followers is by people that already know you. So go out in every piece of social media content, try at least once a week, create a short story, a reel, a post, or something like that that will that you could send out as an email campaign to your database and tell them to go to that database and click follow and like, right? If your content's good enough, they will do it, right? And a lot of people are like, okay, but my content's probably not good enough. My content is probably not good enough. Well, here's the thing. If your content is good enough, they will be waiting for your email every single week. And they will continuously want to see your stuff on their feeds. And that is ultimately, in a 5 minute span, how you organically grow on Facebook and Instagram. Does that make sense? Can I get a one in the chat if that makes sense to you? And this is not theory. I run a large social media marketing agency. We have about probably now 500 clients. Um, I have a meta advisor. This is just what I know works, right? This is what we charge our. By the way, if you're not attending these calls every Thursday, you're missing out because literally all the advice I give, I literally charge thousands of dollars a month. There's actually, I'm just going to call her out. Marla Nutter's on this call. She's one of our clients, and we charge her quite a bit to learn the same exact stuff that you guys are being taught for free. Marla can confirm that, and we have she's on here for another reason. So, with that being said, okay, we want to make sure you guys are tuning in every single week. Now, what content that converts? What is the content that I should be posting every single day that I know is going to get likes, shares, follows, and things like that? And there's several different sides of that content. So let me go back to share content that converts right here. Oh, slideshow. Let me go back to slideshow really quick. While that's loading up, every time, I don't know why, every time I come off slides, it pauses there for a second. All right, so the purpose of content. Content equals the conversation equals the appointment. Um, what the heck happened? All right. Why mistake content works? This is my number one favorite piece of content, right? My number one favorite piece of content is mistake content. And why is it my favorite piece of content? Because I hate to say it, when you're scrolling on Facebook or Instagram, it's pretty funny when you see somebody mess up, right? We're all human. Like we love entertaining stuff, but also people want to learn the mistakes they shouldn't make, right? People are wired to avoid pain, so they want to know what they need to do to avoid that pain, right? Fear ultimately brings value to you. If you can explain why this mistake happened, they're going to say, "Oh my God, I need to work with Nicole because she's going to ensure that mistake doesn't happen." Right? And it instantly stops the scroll. Now, the biggest mistake buyers make, let's talk about a few things of them. The biggest mistake buyers make when visiting new construction. This is viral. That is a viral hook right there. Okay. That is a viral hook. And I'm going to be giving you guys these viral hooks all throughout this class. So take screenshots. Think about buying new construction. Don't make this mistake. How powerful do you think of a statement that is? Because everybody thinks, oh, I'm going to buy a new construction because I'm going to get that warranty that's actually not really a warranty. It's going to take me forever to get a ticket in and forever to get it serviced, right? And oh, never do this 30 days before buying a house. Now, this one's a really cool one because you can go down a very large rabbit hole, right? You could go down a rabbit hole of never buy a new car before closing on your home. Or did you know you could buy a car before closing on your home? That's going to stop a lot of people because they're told not to do it, and you're telling them they can do it. But the way they can is if their debt to income ratio allows it. I bought a new car a week before my closing one time, but that's because my debt to income ratio allowed it. And a lot of people don't understand that, right? Don't open up new credit cards beforehand. Okay. That's another one. Don't open up new credit cards beforehand. Or on the adverse side of that is you could absolutely open up credit cards if you have your debt to income in line, right? Don't move large sums of money between accounts. That's a great one that no one even talks about. No one even talks about that one.
Because I had new
The
information.
biggest relocation mistake I see. That's a great one. If you're moving to Orlando, please don't do this. If you're moving to the villages, please don't do this. If you're moving to a HOA community, don't do this. Is everybody getting a lot of really killer ideas right now? Type one in the chat. You guys are kind of quiet today, but I want to make sure you guys are getting a ton of good value out of this so far because this is the exact content that gets people engaged. Okay. This is that content that keeps people engaged. Don't trust school rating without visiting the school, right? And the costliest mistake sellers make in today's market. Sellers overpricing isn't a strategy, it's a six-figure mistake. So a hook could be, you know, how my seller lost $100,000. I have one right now where I could say how my seller lost $200,000 if I wanted to, right? How my seller, every price reduction you do, how my seller lost $10,000. That's a piece of content right there, right? You may take it a step further and go do a selfie video in front of the home, right? Yes, CTA, Michelle, CTA, exactly. Don't buy a house until you check this. Before you write the offer, pull this one report. They're going to say, what report do I pull? What report do I pull? The inspection report, right? The seller's disclosure, right? Roof claims, the permit reports. There's five different reports that they could pull before they write the offer, essentially. Not inspection. You're obviously going to do the inspection after under contract, but you know what I mean. Whatever's publicly available, right? So here's the thing. This is an exact prompt you could use that I use in my company. I want everybody to take a screenshot of this. This is the exact prompt I use right here. Boom. And by the way, Um, do you think sharing old information is a good idea? I'm going to get to that here in 1 second. So, by the way, there is a recording of this call, and you could access it in the school community under the classroom tab section. So you could absolutely access this in the tab section. Now, Michelle asked, do you think sharing old information is a good idea? I think it's an amazing idea to pre-frame where the economy, where the market is now. That's where I think sharing old information is a good idea. Did you know? Or here's another viral one. This is super viral. Go stand in front of a really nice home, look up what that home was worth, and then say, did you know this home was only $200,000? That's the hook. That's what's going to stop them to scroll. That's right. This home was only $200,000 back in 1997. And today, with the market going up, it's increased by 300%. Now imagine what the market's going to do in the next 4 years. and then go over the math of how much it's probably going to grow based on its historical data. Do you not think if you went around and did that type of content, you would get a ton of stops and a ton of scrolls and a ton of more engagement, right? Gosh, y'all are really quiet in the chat. Really quiet in the chat today. I hope I'm bringing you guys some value. I hope you guys are learning a lot, okay, when it comes to content, because posting content, and I have a slide for this later, posting content, posting content. Oh, go on. Posting content is not just listed, just sold. No one cares about that. Yes, you got to post it because you want to do right by your buyer, seller, whatever. But people want content that's going to stop them, that's going to engage with them, right? And secret content. Number two, section number two is secret content. What secrets does do you have as an agent, right? Why secret content works. It's the curiosity gap between the strongest psychology trigger online. Secret implies insider access, right? And it positions you as the only expert that knows this. Okay, so that secret content's super powerful if used properly. And here's a great example. Builders won't tell you this, but I will. Builders, what's five things that builders won't tell you that you can tell them? That's five different pieces of content I just gave you right there. That is literally five different pieces of content that I just gave you right there. The best price trap is the best price is a trap, right? The home in model is 80K of upgrades. Talk about that. You know how many times people go, "Oh, this model's beautiful. This model's amazing. Oh my God." And in reality, it's really like $100,000 more, right? They'll pay your closing costs if you use their lender, but the rates could be potentially 5.5% higher. Okay. The first five buyers in phase blank get the best lots. And another thing to really talk about is actually content that, for me, I believe if I'm going to buy new construction, there's two times I buy new construction. And this is a great viral one right here. There's two times I buy new construction. Number one, when I'm the first person in that community, because I know naturally prices are just going to keep going up. Or number two, when the community is halfway built out. Those are the two times I personally buy. Let me ask you, Betty, when did you buy new construction? Right? You could ask the audience that question. Yes, Michelle, I will absolutely be sharing these slides, 100%. Okay. The hidden cost nobody talks about. The hidden cost nobody talks about. Your mortgage payment isn't the real payment. There's five pieces of viral content right here. The mortgage payment isn't the real payment. Let's talk about the HOA fees, right? Let's talk about the CDD. Let's talk about the PMI. Let's talk about homeowners insurance. Let's talk about property tax reassessment. Those are the hidden costs that no one talks about. And guess what? No agent's putting content out there about this, right? So those are more hidden costs. And then the neighborhood nobody's talking about yet. Does anybody know an agent by the name of, or anybody seen him by the name of Ken Pozek? Anybody ever heard of Ken Pozek? Seen him on YouTube? If you have not seen Ken Pozek on YouTube, you should absolutely, and I'll type his name in the chat. Um, you know, Ken Pozek's content, he goes over stuff going on in his area that no one's talking about because he scours tax records and looking for new permits. How amazing is that? Right? Now, here's the thing. when you have this content, Michelle asks, is any tips on content for that? I'm going to be traveling, but it is also business related. Any tips for that? Yes. I'm going to be getting to that here in a second. The question one, the one question every seller should ask. Most sellers asks, what's my home worth? And that's the wrong question. That's another amazing hook and idea. That's another amazing content piece, right? The right question is, what will I net at the closing table? Right? Commissions, concessions, repairs, those are things that people don't talk about. How builders quietly increase their profit. Same floor plan, different month, $40,000 difference. And here's why. Go over why builders increase their prices. Because not necessarily just because, oh, let me do a price increase. There's a reason why. Go over the 4 reasons why builders increase price. So here's my prompt for 100 curiosity hooks. One prompt, 100 different hooks. Screenshot this if you'd like. Screenshot this if you'd like. Give you one more minute, one more minute. All right. So then next up, comparison content. This actually, Michelle, comparison content is the best type of content when you're traveling because you can compare one market to the next. Okay. You can compare one market to the next. So I think comparison content is actually the best content. Um, why comparison content works? Buyers are always comparing. Side-by-side visuals inherently build value, you know? So again, going back to what Michelle was asking, do you want to go in Huntsville or Madison? Right? These are the two different reasons why. Okay. Break down, like for myself, I do real estate. Believe it or not, I'm in Orlando, Florida. I've done real estate in the Florida Keys, which is 6 hours away. I currently have a listing in Destin, Florida, that's 6 hours away. And, those are two totally different markets, right? I can compare even my business stats in between markets. You could even do comparing, you know, Mount Dora, which is north side of Orlando, to Lake Nona, which is south side of Orlando, right? So those types of comparison content when it comes to new construction versus resale, right? So and I'm going to go ahead and hit this head on really quick. Michelle asks, what about out of state and or countries? So a lot of people, when you're talking countrywide, okay, my big question, and this is a legitimate question I haven't asked her yet, is I see, like, for example, Veronica Figueroa. She's bouncing between Orlando to Puerto Rico to Dominican Republic and investing in all areas. I want to know why she's investing in Dominican Republic versus Puerto Rico. What's the advantage, right? Then I also want to know, what does that process look like when I'm investing in both areas? How does it work? So if you're doing content in multiple locations, I would first start your content ladder with comparison, compare that location versus this location. And then from there, okay, I would then create content about new construction in those locations, resales in those locations, comparing the two different pieces, right? And for those of you that have multiple different businesses, this type of content, these topics are the same whether you're in the beauty industry comparing permanent makeup to laminate lashes to whatever you want to do, right? You can use comparison content in everything. Okay. HOA versus non-HOA, CDD versus non-CDD, renting versus buying. I think renting versus buying, I feel like, is so played. Everybody knows the breakdown, I feel like, on this. Not everybody, because there's always people looking to get into the housing market. But renting versus buying. Another piece of really viral content is why the elderly should rent their home. Make one that why 55 plus is going out of style, something like that maybe, right? Why is a certain age demographic starting to rent versus buy? Now, obviously, fair housing laws, you got to make sure those scripts are on point. So please don't be like, oh, Tony told me this. You need to make sure your script's on point. But right now, I had a customer that wanted to buy another property. And I said, have you looked at renting for achieving your lifestyle goals? He goes, never thought of it. He broke out the math and he's like, you know what? Based on how much longer I have, he literally said to me, based on how much longer I have to live, I could live a crazy good life renting instead of buying and actually enjoy the money, enjoy my equity. I said, there you go. I lost a sale, but I gained a friend for life and I gained his respect for showing him that. And he's referring me business right now. He's referring me business right now. Townhome versus single family home. That's a great one. Right now, believe it or not, people don't realize townhomes almost cost the same amount of money as a single family home. It's bonkers to me. And here are some 40 comparison ideas. Here is the exact prompt I use for my 40 comparison ideas. There you go. Cost content, right? And by the way, stay to the end because I'm going to tie this all together for you. I'm going over the topics, but what does the lay of the land look like? How do I start with cost? Where do I start? We're going to be going over that here in a second. Why cost content works. Cost contact number one, and statement should be principle one. Cost content is the best content to attract right now buyers and sellers. If somebody's thinking about cost, they're thinking about transacting within the next 30 to 60 days, right? But all of your content cannot just be cost content because cost content is not nurturing content. Okay. How many times did you have to see me or another marketer before you listen to them, right? You oftentimes want to just go after the cost, okay? But a lot of times people want to learn a little bit more about you. It's kind of like when people say, I'll look into that. Let me look into that because they haven't heard enough about you first. And obviously, they're not going to ever look into you, but they're just telling you that because they don't trust you enough, right? But cost content is what gets people right now. What $300,000 buys you in blank city? Okay. That's a great one. What $300,000 buys you in blank city? Okay. What $500,000 buys you? Home one's a $500,000 home. And when you're doing cost content like this, I would say what $500,000 buys you in new construction? What $500,000 buys you in resale? What $500,000 buys you in waterfront? Okay. There's so many different ways you can actually do that. How much cash do you need to buy? That's another cost piece. Oh, some of the best real estate agents on TikTok who are actually going viral are breaking down what it costs to buy each type of home. And what they're doing is they're putting a camera above a sheet of paper and writing it out in pen. That's all they're doing. They're truly just breaking down the math for people. Hidden cost of home ownership. Break down the cost of, okay, now that you own the home, what does it cost for you to maintain the home? Okay. And cost of living comparison. This is another Michelle travel content that you can go after. Comparison number one, living in California versus Florida. That's a great one to go after. Living in Dominican Republic versus Puerto Rico. I can tell you right now, if any of you are looking to do international content, right there. Looking at living in Monaco versus Madrid, right? Living in London versus Yorkshire. Those different pieces of content are what is not even being put out there. Just curious, is everybody's like head spinning like, oh my God, this is like a lot of content ideas. Like I kind of didn't think about it. Like it's totally People don't think that about this kind of content because because they just want to sell a house. They just want to get a buyer. They just want to attract a seller. And they think selling them or showing them what they have to offer is it. Here's the fact of the matter. Why did malls die? Well, number one, it was cheaper for them to go online. But number two, people, it's very difficult to resonate nowadays with a store because they have so many options, right? So also when it comes to content, what's one content path you want to go down that you want to own? Don't try to sit here from today's call and do all the content. I promise you, if you do that, you'll never do content again in your life. Pick one content stream, one content type, and own that in your area. Be that known person, right? So here's 30 cost ideas right here for you as well. Okay. 30 cost ideas for you right there. Story content.
Oh,
This is the best one.
you
Type a
moved
one
it.
in the chat if you have a crazy real estate story. Type a one in the chat if you have a crazy real estate story. I have gone to the local jail to sell a house. I have flown overnight to deliver paperwork before. I have broken up a husband and wife literally physically altercating. I have a lot, right? We all have those stories. People want to know them. Just because you're telling a story doesn't mean doesn't mean that you have to tell somebody's name. Okay? Facts tell stories as well. Stories are active emotional. We all want to be relatable. Look at these skincare brands, right? Look at the skincare brands. Look at the Lululemon, okay? Look at Viore. Look at all these companies that we consume every day unknowingly. What are all these companies trying to do? They're trying to relate to us. So storytelling makes you relatable, okay? Storytelling makes you relatable. Why this family left California? Tell the story of why your clients came to California. And here's the exact layout. Begin. The Hendersons spent 12 years in San Diego, two kids, both teachers, lovely 1,200 square foot condo. Da 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 da. The conflict. And this is the exact breakdown when it comes from beginning to conflict. They couldn't afford a yard and couldn't save and couldn't see the future. The resolution. We FaceTimed 6 homes in this city over a weekend. They flew in on Friday, picked a home one on Saturday, and wrote an offer on Sunday. And today they're in their dream 4 bedroom home. This little piece here could be a 30-second clip that you could take a selfie on. How many amazing stories do you have of selling somebody's home or helping them achieve something they didn't think they could achieve? Right? So just be relatable. But I want everybody to take a screenshot of this slide. That way they have the framework because you could literally go in and create, say, hey, you could say this. Say, hey, ChatGPT, I just worked with this buyer or seller. This happened in the story. Can you please create me a story that has beginning, conflict, resolution, and outcome? And let chat create your script. Let chat create your script, right? And then from here, the buyer who almost lost their dream home. Talk about how that buyer wanted to back out on the deal because the seller wouldn't fix an outlet and the buyer was too pain in the butt to just take the $12 out of his own pocket and fix the outlet, right? We all have those stories. Again,
Mhm.
Sarah found the home she wanted. You know, unfortunately, at the end of the day, the seller didn't make every repair at the end. Go over the conflict, resolution, and keep going. How a teacher bought her first home. That's an amazing one. If any of you are working specifically with military, things like that, doing that kind of content of how so and so pulled something back, right? That is an amazing piece of content right there. And then from renting to owning. Okay, renting to owning. That's something that is inspirational. But this content, guess who you should be pointing this content at? First-time home buyers. Okay. People who are, you can't obviously go based on age, but people who just graduated college, things like that. The family who saved $12,000. How did you save somebody $12,000? Talk about it. That's great storytelling content. Here's your prompt for 25 story ideas with this framework. There you go, right there. Giving you all the juice, giving you all everything right then and there. Okay. FAQ content. This is the most boring content in the world. I'll tell you right now. I don't like FAQ content. I just don't. It's, and because it's too transactional, people know why you're doing it. I don't like it, but I put it on here because you should have FAQ content. Just don't advertise it, please. Just keep it on your website, keep it in a back door. That way, when you're actively working with somebody, at that point, once you have an active client, you then give them that FAQ content, but not before they're a client with you. Please don't make that mistake, right?
Right.
And why FAQ content works, you're answering what people are already Googling, oftentimes, builds authority and keeps clients stickier to you. Okay. And should I wait for rates to drop? Now, this could be a viral story. Okay. Why you shouldn't wait for rates to drop. That could be a viral story. How much down payment do I need? It's not 20%. You don't need 20% to buy a home. And this is actually one FAQ I probably would do now because I've had probably 4 or 5 people say, don't I need 20% to buy a home? And guess what? The people who are asking this right now are the older generation who are looking at downsizing that still think they need 25%, right? They still think they need that. And yes, can I buy before I sell? Yes. And here are 3 ways to do that. I actually just locked up the deal yesterday with a bridge loan. Literally just did that yesterday. And is now a good time to buy? Okay. Is now the right time to buy? To me, it's not necessarily about the economy, it's about the life stage that they're in, right? What is the life stage of that individual? Okay. Michelle asks, what are your thoughts on posts with long stories? I actually love stories that are 2 minutes. 2 minutes is that sweet spot, right? 2 minutes is that sweet spot. Then should I buy new construction? The pros and cons, right? What are the pros and cons of buying new construction? Here's 50 FAQ scripts you could use right now. Take a screenshot of that. Take a screenshot of that. Alrighty. Objection content. This is pretty darn viral. This is very viral content. Objection content is oftentimes going to hit somebody harder. It's more controversial, but objection walk content does work because it pre-handles conversations going on in people's heads and it filters out the unready. Can you go back to start with a second? Yes. Right here, this one. Now, what I haven't told anybody on this call, because I like to reward those people that hang out with me to the end, is that you can't just use these scripts and get what I'm giving you by using chat. I want you to put these prompts into Manus AI. Do not use these prompts in chat. Why do I want you to use Manus AI? Because Manus AI is also going to look at the content that is being put out on Facebook because it's tied to Facebook. So it already knows the best content, the best hooks. So these are the prompts I use on Manus. I do not use these. If I'm using a prompt on chat, it's going to be much longer than this. but objection content, pre-notice objections. I'm waiting for rates. But here's what I know. Every 1% rate drops, 15% more buyers are in the market. Who thought of it that way? Every 1% of rate drops, 15 more percent of buyers come into the market. So are you really saving because you're going to wind up overpaying? I tell people all the time, you could always date the rate. You cannot date the purchase price. You combining what I just said to this statement of 1% rate drops, the market brings in 15 more percent buyers, and then end it with, remember, you could always date the rate, but you can't date the price. That will get somebody moving. That will get somebody like, okay, yes, got it. Heard you there, right? I need more money saved. Okay, I need more money saved. Maybe, or maybe you already have it there and you don't even know it, right? And you just go over the math with them. The market's too expensive. It feels expensive compared to 2020, but compared to 2030, this is reframing. Think about what 2030 is going to look like. Okay. And you could talk about how back in the 90s, interest rates were 10, 12%. I'm waiting until next year. What's changing next year? The rates, the savings? If the answer is life, that would be the only reason that's changing next year. So I need to think about it. While you're thinking rates are going up, inventory is going higher or lower, you will have savings much larger. Your savings will be larger, sure, but not really, maybe not. And will the home you love still be available? And here are 30 objections right here that you could use. Right there are 30 of those objection handlers for you to use inside of Manus. So, everyone, does everybody have some homework to do? And they're like, boom, like that's I hope my content, my goal is there's not a lot of true marketers in the real estate industry. A lot of them come from being a real estate agent to a marketer, then kind of know, like, my goal is to show you exactly the type of content in a no fluff fashion that you should be putting out there, right? That you should be putting out there. I will absolutely go back to the last prompt post way. Shoot, where'd it go? One second. Why isn't it letting me share the screen? Whoops, sorry. Go back to that last prompt. But that's exactly what you should be doing is this type of content. Please stop posting your just listed, just solds. It just, you're showboating, right? It's all you're doing. Yes, no, let me back up. Yes, you should post it once, but don't sit there and start hammering it, hammering it, hammering it, hammering it, right? Post it once, that's it. Leave it there. So, but guys, I want to say thank you all so much for today. It was an amazing call. This is one of my favorite topics. If you have any questions, you could absolutely shoot us a DM inside the Apex community, inside the Climber community. And the replay will be up today. I'm going to get slides up as well for you guys. And we will catch you on the next one next week. So I look forward. I hope everybody got a lot out of it today. And which AI are you using for the prompts? Manus AI, MANUS.ai. And you could also access Manus AI directly through your Facebook platform. You could absolutely access it through your Facebook platform as well. So, all right, everyone. Thank you so much, Josue. I'll give you a call here in a second, and we'll talk soon. Yes, Michelle, you can message me there. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.